In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make your left hand sound better in one step. This one step is a practice method that when you do correctly will completely change the way that your left hand sounds. And the best part is that it doesn't take very much time to practice using this method. Make sure you stick around for the entire tutorial because I'm going to share the method with you, and I'm also going to show you through demonstration exactly how to do this practice method so that you get results with it. To demonstrate this method, we're going to be using the famous Chopin Prelude in E minor with the famously difficult left hand. Hey there, if you're new to the channel, I'm Ashley. Welcome to Ashley on Music Studio, where I'm all about practicing smarter, not harder. Let's dive in. The one method that you can use to make your left hand sound better is called Left Hand Singer School. And this name is going to make a lot more sense once I dive in and actually share with you how to practice this way. So when it comes to piano playing, oftentimes the melody is going to be in the right hand of the piece you're playing. That's not always the case, but it is often the case. Which means most piano players spend a lot of their times figuring out how to make the right hand or the melody sound as beautiful as possible. And the left hand, or in other words, the accompaniment, is often just mistakenly kind of discarded as being less important. For example, in the Chopin Prelude in E minor, we have the melody in the right hand. These single notes, they're so beautiful. And then the left hand is these repeated chords. And because they are repeated throughout almost the entire piece, and because a lot of them are the same over and over and over again, a lot of people will just try to play these chords as quietly as possible and not really give them the attention that they deserve. Let me share an example with you. There's a member of the Casual to Confident Piano Player program who's working on this piece. And for those of you that don't know, the Casual to Confident Piano Player program is my adult piano player program where you get access to like a training vault of curriculum, you get access to the confidence roadmap that shows you exactly how to learn a piece from the ground up with less mistakes and more confidence. And you get access to these group classes. And this member of Casual to Confident came to one of these group classes and she started to play this piece and she played it and her left hand was kind of uneven, like certain notes were slamming out, certain notes were ghost notes, meaning like I couldn't really hear them very well, and it was just uneven. And we got to talking about this left hand and how she could make it better. And she started to describe how she conceptualized this piece. And she was saying the melody's in the right hand and the left hand is just these repeated chords. And I know that I need to voice the melody. I know that the melody is the important part. So I'm just going to make the left hand as quiet as possible. It's boring to hear these chords over and over and over again. And so I also just kind of want to play them quickly and make them really quiet. Now, this is where we stop because there's a lot of misconceptions in the way that she described this piece to me. And she was missing out on a huge opportunity in this piece because the left hand is so beautiful. So what we're going to do when we put our left hand through singer school is we are going to practice it as though it is the melody. And this is a really big shift from what the member of Casual to Confident was describing when she was conceptualizing this piece and when she was describing how she was approaching the left hand. And it's one of the biggest mistakes that I see piano players make when it comes to the left hand of their piano pieces. So when we utilize the left hand singer school, what we are doing is we are giving our left hand something to do. And this is different. When we tell our left hand to play as quietly as possible, that's an ambiguous direction. An ambiguous direction that our left hand can't really act on very well, and that we can't really evaluate if we're doing as intended or not. So oftentimes when people think I need to play this as quietly as possible, what happens is all of a sudden you notice how loud it is, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, how is it possible that the left hand is so loud? And in addition to that, you start to notice that it's really uneven. Like maybe some of the notes are slamming out and maybe some of the notes are accidentally ghost notes, like they're not sounding at all. And most people's solution to this is to just try to make it quieter and to continue to try to make it quieter. But you will be unsuccessful because you're not really giving your hands very clear directions. You're not giving them something that's actionable or measurable. So instead, you need to give your hands clear and concrete directions. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean after this quick announcement. So inside Casual to Confident Piano Player program, we change this completely. you get the confidence roadmap, which is a proven step-by-step method to taking any piece of music to confident musical expression. The roadmap breaks down exactly which milestones you need to hit and exactly the order that you need to follow them in order to be able to play expressively and with way fewer mistakes. You also get access to all of the revolutionary practice methods that help you move between those milestones with so much more ease and so much less time. One of the members of the program named Angela was even able to cut her practice time in half because she was so much more effective and efficient with what she was doing when she sat down to practice. Inside the program, it's completely different than a YouTube tutorial because you actually get to show up with me live in Zoom and I teach you. I get to hear you play, I get to give you feedback and help you get the answers that you need in real time. And there's an incredible community of like-minded piano players that are all walking the same path. So if you're ready to stop guessing and start making real progress in 2025 so you can actually reach all of your piano goals, join us in Casual to Confident Piano Player today. Enrollment is open. It usually opens twice a year, but it might only be opening this one time for 2025. It closes on January 29th. So you're seeing this just a few days before enrollment closes, and this is the last time that it's going to be open at this price point. So don't wait until it's too late. 2025 can be your best piano playing year yet. The link is in the description. So instead of taking the chords in this piece and just trying to play them as quietly as possible, what we're going to do is take, let's say the first phrase, the first 4 measures. We're going to take those measures and we're actually going to get rid of the idea that it needs to be quiet just for a minute. And we're going to try to make this left hand accompaniment pattern as beautiful as possible. The reason I called it left hand singer school is we're going to essentially pretend like the left hand is the melody. And we're going to play it with the same amount of care and attention and dynamics and musicality that we would if the left hand were the melody. So let's listen and let's kind of see what I mean. We have these repeated chords for the first measure. And if I try to just make them as quiet as possible and I make them all the same, it's super boring. So what if I were to do a little crescendo here? And then as I play through the next 4 measures, what if I were to add dynamics and expression and listen to the chord changes like they were a melody? Let me show you what I mean. Of a sudden, it's really beautiful, right? And that's very different than just playing these chords quietly. Do you hear how uneven that is and how bad it sounds? If you're getting value out of this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, comment below, and let me know what you like about the video. And share this link with a friend or with an adult piano player community so that they too can figure out how to make their left hand sound better. When you practice this way, you're doing a couple of key things that are very important. The first thing is that you are shifting from giving ambiguous directions to giving very clear and concrete directions. You're saying, play this musically. And as you do that over and over again, if you allow yourself the time to kind of like explore and experiment with different dynamics and different ways of making the left hand sound as beautiful and musical as possible, you're also exercising your creativity muscle and you're increasing your capacity to think in a musical way. In other words, you're practicing the skill of musicality. And this is something that most people think can't be practiced. Most piano players think that's something that you do in the spur of the moment, but it's actually something you should be practicing. And I'm going to come back to that in just a second. So you would do this practice method maybe for a phrase at a time. And I'm not telling you to commit to playing the left hand or the accompaniment louder, or to commit to playing it with the full range of dynamics that you experiment with. But what's going to happen is you start to hear the left hand in a different way. Your brain starts to understand and learn the left hand on a deeper level, and you also start to develop the control that is needed from a technique standpoint to actually be able to play the left hand quietly, which might be your ultimate goal. So it's not that you put your left hand through singer school and then continue to play the left hand loudly and with a ton of dramatic dynamics, but it's through that practice that you start to develop the proper technique required to have the control over the left hand, which is ultimately what you need and what you want when you're playing a piece like this with a beautiful but challenging accompaniment pattern. Now, I go a lot deeper into the concept of practicing musicality in another video that I did that's all about dynamic control. And in this video, I give you a really concrete system to practice dynamics so that you can develop control over your dynamics, like the quiets and the louds, with a really high level of accuracy. So if you want to take what you just learned in this tutorial and then learn a very concrete way that you can practice it even on a deeper level, you can check that tutorial out right here. Happy practicing.